Frequency of Yes, the podcast for feminine leaders creating wild success, deep empowerment, and divine wealth on their terms. I'm Kirstin, Carey, and I'm here to alter the energetic architecture of how women build their businesses and find their full body yes. Today kicks off something really special. It's the first episode of a 6-part money and pricing series here on the Frequency of Yes. And over the next several episodes, I'm going to be diving deep into the truths, the myths, the psychology, and the energetics around pricing and money, because these are the places where even the smartest, the most seasoned coaches and feminine leaders get tripped up. And what we're going to be talking about isn't just theory. I'm going to be sharing stories, examples, and strategies that come directly from my own journey, building multiple businesses and supporting clients as they step into their own next level of their businesses. So think of this as a series like a bridge. So every episode is going to get you further across from confusion and second guessing to clarity, confidence, and cash flow that feels aligned. So if you've ever felt like your pricing doesn't match your value, or you've wrestled with whether to go high ticket, low ticket, or you're discounting, or you're just trying to get clients in the door, this series is for you. So in this first episode, we're going to be diving straight into one of the most triggering and misunderstood parts of the business, pricing. And specifically, I'm going to break down 3 of the biggest lies that are floating out there in our industry when it comes to pricing, why they're keeping so many women under earning, and what you can do to shift to step into a clean, unapologetic cash flow. So if you've ever wondered, am I charging too much, not enough? Do I need a discount because it's my first time out there offering this? Then you're in the right place, because once we pull apart these lies, you're going to start to see pricing with new eyes. So let's drop in. All right, so here's the thing. Pricing is not neutral. Pricing is emotional, it's psychological, it's energetic. And if you were just doing math, then we wouldn't need to be having this conversation. You'd just pick a number, you'd stick it on your offer, and boom, it would be done. But you and I both know it doesn't work like that. And when I look at the coaching and consulting industry, especially for women, I'm seeing the same patterns over and over. And it doesn't matter if you're brand new or if you've been in the business for decades. I see women getting tangled up in the same traps. So I've pulled apart what I believe are the 3 biggest lies that are being told and believed about pricing. And when you see them clearly, you're going to be able to step out of the confusion and into alignment with your pricing. So let's look at lie number 1, charging what you're worth. So let's just call this one out first because it's everywhere. And if you've scrolled Instagram or you've listened to other podcasts or you've taken some business trainings, you've probably heard the phrase, you need to charge what you're worth. And following this advice is going to mess you up as it messes up so many other coaches, practitioners, and consultants. And here's why. Your pricing isn't about you. And if you make it about you, it's going to cause you a huge energetic and psychological disconnect. Because you cannot and you should not put a price on yourself. You are priceless. There is no number that can define your worth as a human being, as a soul, as a practitioner, as a mother, as a partner, as a leader. And people are not going to pay you for your worth. They're going to pay you what they think they are worth and how much the transformation they are searching for is worth to them. But when you link your prices to your self-worth, 2 things typically happen. 1, if you've got blocks around your worth, and most people do, because most of us have been trained since birth to question if we're enough, then your prices are always going to stay small and safe and apologetic. And then if somebody says no to the price that you come up with, you're not going to hear that this isn't the right offer or not the right timing or not the right fit. What you're going to hear is, I'm not enough. I'm not worthy. I'm being rejected. And then a shame spiral is going to start wrecking your confidence and your momentum, and it's going to hurt your ability to attract ideal clients. Your pricing is not about your worth. Your pricing is about the value of the transformation you're delivering. How many times have you done a launch or gotten off a sales call where the person you thought was a perfect fit didn't enroll, and then you felt depressed? Or you wondered, what did I do wrong? Why didn't they want to invest in my program? Why didn't I sell that person? This is a sign that you're internalizing their no and making it about you. It's not. Though you can learn from it, I guarantee the problem was a mismatch with them that you didn't hear or see or uncover. So it wasn't about your worth. And if you're so focused on you and not how they see it, then from their perspective, if you don't understand what was going on, you're going to continue to see more no's than yeses. And this is where it really clicked for me. Years ago, I landed a $5,000 keynote speaking engagement. And later I was talking to my mom about it. And I mentioned the $5,000 fee. And she was like, Kirstin, you're getting paid $5,000 for an hour? And I had to laugh. I still laugh now, obviously, because from her perspective, it did look like that. It looked like I walked on stage for 60 minutes. I walked off, got a check for $5,000, and I was done. But that's not why they were paying me. And that's not what they were paying me for. They weren't paying me for an hour of my time. They were paying me for the decades of knowledge, expertise, and skill. They were paying me for the ability to be engaging and motivating and activating for their audience and to know exactly what to do in that 1 hour. They were paying me to create a transformation for that audience that was in line with their organization's goals and outcomes. So it wasn't about paying me for an hour of my time. It was about the value of the result. And this is where so many women get tripped up, because if you think your price is about you being enough or not enough, you're going to keep shrinking it down, or you're going to take it personally if you don't book the client. Or you're going to start focusing on the wrong metrics like time to figure out your pricing. You're going to think things like, well, I'm new, so I should only charge this little amount. Or I don't have enough testimonials, so I should give them a discount. Or helping people feels so easy to me, I should charge less. Or I should charge less because everything isn't perfect yet. Or it's not fair if I charge more. And all of that is about self-worth. Not about value. It's not even about the client at that point. It's about your blocks and fears, not about the client's transformation. There's a giant difference. And I really want this to land for you. Focusing on your self-worth doesn't get you paid. Focusing on your client's value, that makes you bank. So let's flip this over. Let's put the spotlight on the transformational opportunity that you offer in your program or that your coaching creates for the client. Start asking yourself things like, on the other side of my coaching program, after a client's gone through it, what's the transformational outcome for that client? Or what's the most important thing to the client? Not the surface goals for the client, but the drivers to why those goals are important right now. Or what's the cost of them not solving this problem right now? Not later, but what's the cost to them now? That's where the value lives, in the answers to these questions, not in whether you feel worthy on a particular day when you're starting to set up the prices. So we're going to be pulling apart the specifics on things like that and going really deep into it even later in the later episodes in this Frequency of Money pricing series. But for now, let's look at this example. I had built a 7-figure business as a natural health practitioner, and I would go to nutrition and functional medicine conferences where they would promote spending thousands of dollars on additional certifications, but they would simultaneously be sending this message that we as practitioners should only be charging affordable rates, which is so arbitrary, right? And there was this accepted belief that because people were sick and health insurance doesn't really cover natural health solutions, that it was unfair to charge clients too much. So the underlying message was, if you really cared and your goal is really to help people, then you'll make it affordable for everyone. Now, this typically translated to most of my colleagues as fees that were so low that they needed second jobs just to cover their basic living expenses, even when their practices were full. And I remember attending a national nutrition conference where the only business-related program on the entire 3-day schedule was called How to Make Up to $70,000 a Year. I was like, up to $70,000 a year? Did you just put a ceiling on what's acceptable to earn? And every business bone in my body was aching after I saw that title, and the room was packed. And the side of me that desperately wants to help people not suffer the way that I did when I was looking for solutions for my autoimmune conditions, that side of me, it connected to the shame and the guilt that was wrapped in this message. And I started wondering, maybe they were right. Maybe I was charging too much. Maybe I was being selfish. Maybe I was a bad person. The guilt was real. So I decided to run this experiment. So the very next launch that we were doing, we offered a full scholarships to 5 people into our year-long program that we typically were charging $12,000 for. These were total scholarships. The only thing people had to pay was going to be $750 in lab fees to cover our hard costs. And to apply, people had to explain why they should be chosen, what their backstory was, what they were dealing with. They had to share the commitment that they were making to themselves and their healing. And we had more than 24 people apply. And we sorted through them, we agonized over them, and we picked 5 people. So essentially, these people were getting more than $11,000 off the transformational program to reverse their chronic health issues with our full support. And they got everything our paying clients got. Guess how many of the 5 people completed the program? Yeah, 0. Not one of them. Meanwhile, our paying clients, they showed up, they did the work, they got the results. And then that hit me like a ton of bricks. The pricing, it wasn't just about the money. The pricing also was about the commitment. It was about attracting clients who were resourceful and coachable and ready to do the work, because it was not for the faint of heart to reverse autoimmune conditions. Pricing's a filter, but it's also a frequency. And when you undercharge, or worse, you give it away, you often repel the very best clients and you attract the ones who won't get results. They come in with this misaligned expectation and they stay disempowered, which ultimately is going to create an experience where they don't build the strength they need to get the transformational result. And then everyone loses. But when you charge based on the transformational outcome and you hold the container around that, you create commitment and alignment and results. And that was the turning point for me. I really stopped thinking of pricing as a reflection of my worth and started seeing it as an energetic and strategic filter that decided who was really ready and who wasn't. And when you charge based on the transformational outcome, you create a commitment to the transformation and you take the focus off of you. And this really helps you shift away from trauma attached to the transactional love many of us have learned from early on. Because it's not about them liking you, or you being a good person, or you proving your worth. It's about the commitment you have to the transformation they say they want and the action they're willing to take to get that transformation. So if you've been wrestling with how to charge what you're worth, I want you just to toss out that concept altogether. Your worth is infinite. Your pricing should reflect the value of the transformation, the container you create for that transformation to be possible, and the result that comes from that. So that's the truth in lie number 1. That's the other side of that lie. It's the truth. It's about your transformation and their willingness to claim it, not about your worth. Okay, so let's move over into lie number 2, which is this founder pricing, intro pricing, new business pricing. This one's everywhere right now, especially with new coaches. And the idea is, since this is my first time running this program, I'm going to offer a discount or a founder's rate for the first round of clients. And it sounds innocent enough, right? But there's this hidden problem in that approach, because most of the time it comes from an apology-centered frequency, not empowerment. And the way I've seen most of the people use this approach, they're coming at it with this like underlying message of, sorry, this is new. Sorry, you're my guinea pig. Sorry, I don't feel confident charging full price. And the pricing, like I was saying before, is coming with an attachment to your fear of not being good enough or not being sure of your offer or your outcome, which means it's going to fall flat and people aren't going to buy. And this is then compounded for women, frankly, because it's, as a general rule, women are really conditioned to apologize. Like how many times have you, or maybe you've seen another woman do this and you've never done it yourself. You see yourself walking down the aisle at the grocery store and you apologize because someone else is coming the other way. Like you're not even in their way, but you apologize anyway for like taking up space. And it's nearly impossible to use this founder pricing approach without that apology frequency being wrapped in it. And that apology frequency tells your prospects, like unconsciously, I don't believe in this offer or its ability to deliver the transformational outcome that you want. And here's more truth. A new offer doesn't necessarily mean lower value. In fact, very often I see that the first round of a program is the most valuable round it's ever going to be because you're so hands-on. You're more present. You're more deeply engaged with the details. You're building the plane while you fly it, which means you're paying much more attention. You're giving more customization, more energy than any later round is ever really going to get. So if anything, that first round should be full value, if not slightly higher. And now I'm not saying that you can never adjust prices or raise them over time. Of course you can. But here's the key. If you lower the price, you should also match the value with that price. Otherwise, you're going to be over-delivering at a low price point, and that's going to confuse everyone. It's going to confuse you, it's going to confuse your client, and it's going to confuse the universe and the frequency around it. So maybe you could shorten your program from 6 months to 90 days if you're trying out something new. Or maybe you can take out some of the one-on-one calls or make it group only. Or maybe you just strip out some of the bonuses. That's fine. But make sure the value and the price match. What you don't want to do is over-deliver at a cut rate out of fear or guilt, because that will always backfire on you. Let me give you another example of this. I was working with this woman who had just gotten certified in another technique. And she was super smart. She was experienced. She'd built successful companies in the past. But when it came time to launch her new program offer, she was really kind of glued to this idea that she'd picked up online, everyone talking about this new idea of doing founder pricing. So her plan was she was going to charge $1,000. Well, of course, she's charging $997. $997 for a program that was easily worth $3,000 to $10,000. When I asked her why she was charging the $997, she said, well, it's a new program and I don't want to charge too much and I don't feel right asking full price when I haven't tested it yet. Now, do you hear the apology? Do you hear it just vibrating in there? She's basically saying, sorry, this might not work. Sorry, you're my test subject. But here's the irony. Her very first clients absolutely were going to get more value than anyone else was going to get because she was going to be so involved with this new process that she was layering on top of what she was already doing. She was going to be right there with them, customizing, hand-holding, adjusting, making sure they got results. And if anything, that first round should have been even more expensive, not less, because they were getting more access to her. And it wasn't even true that she hadn't tested it yet. Her clients had already gotten results working with her using all the other modalities that she uses. And to get her certification, she had to use this technique on multiple people before she was allowed to graduate. And this is just another layer that she was adding on to her current coaching process. Just because the container was new the way that she was doing it didn't mean that the value was unproven. So the lie of the founder pricing even takes some of us with the best intentions. And it sounds like it's coming from a generosity place, but it's really disguised in this fear vibration. So I told her, look, if you want to give people a reason to say yes sooner, you absolutely can. But based on something that serves you and them, not on an apology because you aren't delivering at the highest rate. So we came up with some ideas that she put into play. First, she gave an idea. People paid in full. They got bonus sessions with her. If they enrolled by a certain date, she actually gave a discount for that. And if they were one of the first 5 people to enroll, she gave them some extra access to some hidden materials. That way, the price wasn't arbitrarily dropping and she wasn't dropping the value. The value actually increased in a way without her messing with the numbers. And that created momentum instead of an apology. She shifted her thinking, launching at $3,000. She decided instead of the $997, and people paid it. She sold out. She got better results, and she felt really confident in her delivery. Now I'm going to layer one more piece in here because this is where a lot of founder pricing gets even ickier. Sometimes people are going to say, well, I'm going to start low now and then I'll raise it later, which sounds logical, but here's the trap. Once you set a low anchor, it's really hard to raise it without all that resistance. And your future clients are going to be like, well, wait a minute, you charged $1,000 before and now it's $3,000. And unless you have made a very clear shift in the container in some way, you've changed the length of time, you've added more, you've shifted the way that the transformational results are received, it just looks arbitrary. And that arbitrary pricing is going to kill trust within the community. because people talk. And pricing integrity matters. Clean pricing energy matters. And if you want clients to trust your offer, you have to be able to be consistent and intentional with everything that you're doing. So here's the real takeaway. Founder pricing is almost never necessary. A new program is not worth less. If anything, it's worth more. And if you're going to play with pricing, make sure the scope matches the number. Never undercut your own value out of an apology. Clean pricing energy, not apology pricing energy. No fear, just clarity. All right, let's move on to line number 3. This is low ticket pricing is an easy way to make income. All right, this one drives me absolutely bananas because it's this hustle culture bro marketing lie. You see posts all over like Instagram or LinkedIn about how people got 100 new clients this month, and then everybody gets excited. But what they don't understand, and why this one makes me so crazy, is because it's such a seductive way to think that all this money is profitable money. It's smoke and mirrors techniques. You've seen it everywhere. I promise you. You've seen the memberships for $27 a month, the course for $97, a $297 signature system. On the surface, they look like absolutely smart moves. They're low barriers to entry for someone to say yes, and it's easy income while you sleep, right? Passive income. And here's the kicker. Chasing those low ticket numbers usually costs more money and way more time than it ever brings in for the 99% of us. And what most coaches don't understand until they're like knee deep in is that the low ticket is costing them far more time, money, and energy than it ever brings back in. So let me show you another example of this. I worked with a woman who had decided to build a $27 a month membership. She was absolutely convinced this was going to be her path to freedom. She poured weeks. If we were really serious, she poured months into building it. She built the squeeze pages. She designed the confirmation page. She created the autoresponder sequence. She set up a whole membership portal. She wrote and recorded the content. She invested in the Facebook ads. She even offered a 30-day free trial, thinking that once people were inside, they'd fall in love with the magic of all of it and they would stay. Here's the reality of what happened. Most people canceled by day 29. So she had spent all that time, energy, and money building this entire machine for people who never actually paid her a dime. And the ones who stuck around at $27 a month, she needed hundreds of people, hundreds, if not really thousands, of members to break even for all of the money, time, and effort that she spent, and the money and things to keep it running. And when we looked at the numbers again, the truth was brutal. Thousands of dollars on ads, countless hours building everything, and she wasn't even covering her ad spend. And when I told her, low ticket rarely, if ever, works as a true moneymaker on its own, at best, it's a lead source. It's a filter to find the strongest prospects for your high ticket offers. Because here's the catch, you have to have a flawless funnel for even that to work. You need to be able to move someone seamlessly from a $27 membership into a $3,000 to $5,000 program. And very few coaches ever build that kind of magic funnel. I know it sounds like a lot of them are doing it that way. They're not. So if you ever look at a low ticket as your primary moneymaker, you're setting yourself up for a rude awakening. At best, it offsets your ad cost. At worst, it drains your time and energy and leaves you totally broke. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Kirstin, people can't afford $3,000 programs. That's why I have to charge less. And I hear you. I hear you. We're going to unpack that exact belief in another episode on this series. But let me just say this now, that belief is not true. There's still plenty of money in circulation. There are still clients who are happy to pay $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $45,000, $70,000 for the right transformation. But your offer, your positioning, your ability to speak directly to their transformation has to be sharp. And you have to be tapped into your frequency of yes. Stick with me through this series. We're going to dig deep on this. Dig deep. But for now, what I want you to do is sit with this. Would you rather spend months building a membership funnel that might bring in $500 a month after expenses if it brings in any profit at all? Or would you rather sign 5 clients at $5,000 each and make $25,000 in that same time frame? This is exactly why I created the Frequency of Yes money map. Because when you sit down and actually run the numbers, when you put pen to paper, it becomes so clear so fast. So I created this money map, which is going to help you see how many clients at what price point you need to reach your income goals. And almost every woman I've walked through this exercise has realized low ticket is an illusion, high ticket aligned pricing is freedom. So you can download the money map. I'm going to put the information in the show notes. You can play with your numbers, all of the other information that I have in there for you. And you can see what then shifts for you or what information comes from that. Because you don't need thousands of clients. You don't need to chase volume. You need a handful of the right ones. And that's how you step out of hustle and into ease. Okay, let me bring all of this together. We've just pulled apart 3 of the biggest lies about pricing and keeping women under-earning and overworking. So lie number 1, charging what you're worth, wrong. Your worth is infinite. Price the transformation, not your self-esteem. Lie number 2, founder pricing and apology pricing, also wrong. If you lower the price, you have to lower the scope. Don't over-deliver at a discount out of fear or guilt. Lie number 3, low ticket is easy income. This is also typically 100% wrong. Low ticket is rarely, if ever, a true moneymaker on its own. It's a lead filter at best. You don't need thousands of clients. You need a handful of the right ones. Here's the golden thread that's running through all of this. When you price out of fear, you undercut yourself, you confuse your clients, and you will burn out. When you price from intention and alignment, you're going to create clean containers that feel good. They're going to attract the right people, and they're going to create sustainable cash flow. So your first embodied action after this episode is simple. First, take a deep breath. Look honestly at your current pricing and ask yourself, am I charging from fear, apology, or comfort zone? Or am I charging from intention, purpose, and alignment with the transformation that I know I can help create? So this, again, is the exact reason why I created the Frequency of Yes money map. It's a simple visual way to get your numbers on paper so you can see the truth for yourself. There's no guessing after this. There's no charging what you're worth. It's just clarity. And you can download it for free. The link is in the show notes. And while you're there, you'll see an option to book a strategy call with me if you feel like that's the next step you want to take. But if you're ready to dive deeper, if you know you don't want to keep spinning on the same old patterns, I think we should talk. At the very least, get the money map, let it shift your perspective, and bring the information you learned from doing that exercise with you to the conversation if you book a call with me. We'll pull it apart. We'll take it down to the finite levels that you need to see in order to open up your frequency of yes. And it's not a pricing set it and forget it kind of energy anymore. You can't just set the pricing and walk away. It needs to evolve as you evolve and you step up and step in to your truth. And as the economy shifts, everything else is changing and you're changing. 2 to 3 years from now, everything's going to be different. 2 to 3 months ago, it might be different, but you need to learn how to reevaluate that so you're not coming from a place of fear when you do it. And you're coming from this purpose and intention, and you're not letting outside things control what's going on in your pricing. Now, before we wrap, let me just give you a preview of what's coming in the next money and pricing series, because calling out the lies and this is just the groundwork, the setting. The reason pricing feels so hard for so many women isn't just numbers. It's the way we feel about selling and the attachments that we have to money. So in episode 12, which is the next part of this series, we're going to dig into why selling feels so gross and how to shift it. We're going to talk about the neuropsychology behind sales resistance. We're going to talk about some of the bro selling tactics that backfire and no longer work, and how to step into a new definition of selling that feels natural, empowering, and magnetic. We're going to talk about the shadow masculine versus shadow feminine sales energy. I'm going to deliver to you the Doctor Strange clothes that I use and that my clients use that helps them feel so empowered in the sales conversations that they're having to help their potential clients make empowered decisions, and how to hold space for a yes without trickery or pressure. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast because you do not want to miss the next pieces of this series. And thanks again for joining me today on The Frequency of Yes. We've just dismantled 3 of the biggest pricing lies in the coaching industry. And my hope is that you are walking away with permission to rethink your offers and your pricing and the energy that you bring to both and the brilliance that you bring to your potential clients. So grab the money map, start doing your numbers, start this process, and then come back for the next episode, because this is just the beginning of you finding your full body yes in money, sales, and business.